Okay, everybody, it's Thursday, January 23rd. It's about 10 minutes after 5 p.m. West Coast time. This is today's episode number 2 of Daily Hawk, a little news recap. Um, and if you didn't see episode 1, it's a good one too. If you like this video, please subscribe to my page, click like, leave a comment, even if it's a nasty one. If you engage with this content, then eventually I will be able to quit my day job. Thank you, everybody. So, citrus harvest has virtually halted in the California Central Valley as workers fear Trump order to skip work. Right now is peak harvest season for all kinds of citrus. And all of these big commercial farms up and down the Central Valley that you see when you're driving up and down the 5 or Highway 99, most of the harvesting has come to a screeching halt because all of the workers are skipping work because they're afraid they're going to get scooped up by immigrations and customs enforcement and deported. And Monterey County Farm Bureau Executive Director Norm Groot, I am Groot, tells NBC News Bay Area that he is certainly very concerned about what is happening and how it is unfolding, and added that immigrant workers are simply not going to show up for work, and that means crops will remain in the field and not be harvested and will probably be lost at that point. Something like 40% of the United States citrus comes from California. So enjoy paying $5 for an apple, everybody, because that's coming. Mississippi Democrat Bradford Blackman trolls Republicans in the state of Mississippi with an anti-masturbation bill. It's called the Contraception Begins at Erection Act that makes it a crime to discharge genetic material without the intent to fertilize an embryo. So it criminalizes masturbation by men. Perpetrators who make unauthorized sperm discharges would be hit with a $1,000 fine for the first offense, a $5,000 fine for their second offense, and a $10,000 fine for all subsequent offenses. So high achievers could be hit with $16,000 in fines in a single day. Mississippi has some of the toughest restrictions on abortion in the country and is one of 12 states where a near total ban on the procedure exists. So fuck you, Mississippi Republicans. You're not allowed to jerk off anymore. Oh no, economists forecast higher interest rates and inflation over the next several years. Who could have seen that coming? Let's deport 20 million workers and put 50% tariffs on everything. That sounds like that's an excellent idea. It won't negatively impact inflation, will it? Or interest rates? Oh, it will. Oh, fucking hell, man. So Republicans are talking about saying basically like, we will give wildfire aid to California if Democrats agree with us and do away with the debt ceiling limit. And Democrats said today, no, we're not going to do that. Said Hakeem Jeffries, it's a non-starter. The Republicans have not opened up any lines of communications with us. It's not hard to find me. They know where I'm at. They know my number. I haven't received a single call about any of these issues. The Proud Boys are back. Yay! Fresh out of federal prison, former Proud Boy leader Enrique Tarrio, this is from Wired, suggests he's still in charge as the far-right organization looks to regroup, said Tarrio. As far as my future with the organization goes, I'm not going anywhere. We've made the decision not to talk publicly about the group's structure, but I have some suggestions for the media. They should stop calling me the ex-Proud Boys leader. So, but they're still keeping their cute matching little black and yellow outfits. And, you know, so here's the thing. The initiation into the Proud Boys involves the following. You tell the Proud Boys that you would like to join. And they say, okay. Once you join the Proud Boys, you're not allowed to masturbate. That's true. And how you get initiated into the Proud Boys is you stand, you're surrounded by other Proud Boys, and they lightly punch you while you name 5 different breakfast cereals. That is also true. Can't masturbate, and you have to have a deep knowledge of American cereal brands. And then you're in. Yeah. Wow. That's true. All of that stuff is true that I just said. I'm not kidding. I mean, it's like finding out what Scientologists really believe. Former Alabama Representative Mo Brooks. So Mo Brooks, he spoke at the rally at the Ellipse on the morning of January 6, 2021. He was wearing like this big yellow raincoat. We found out later on that underneath that, he was wearing a bulletproof vest. And he was the one where he was like, today is the name that we start taking names and kicking ass or something like that. He put out a quote today. Donald Trump has time and again convinced me that he is the most dishonest elected official that that the public has ever had to interact with. And the paradox with Donald Trump is he seems to make dishonest statements just for the fun of it, as a challenge to see if anybody has the gumption or wherewithal to take him to task for the dishonest statements he makes. Yes. And you know who falls for those dishonest statements every single fucking time? The left. Yes, that's true. Every time he says something, it's a hair on fire moment for the left. I see it every day on TikTok, guys. Donald Trump demands that interest rates drop immediately. He spoke at the Davos, the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland today, where he was allegedly blithering like an idiot, and his speech was widely mocked. And during his speech, he lobbed his first volley at the Federal Reserve, saying today that he will apply pressure to bring down interest rates. That's not how that works. I'll demand that interest rates drop immediately, and likewise, they should be dropping all over the world. Interest rates should follow us all over. That is so not how that works. That's just, and the interest rate that the Fed puts out there is just one data point. Interest rates across all areas of the financial sector are determined by the market. But so he spoke at Davos today, and he said, from the standpoint of America, the EU treats us very unfairly, very, very badly. Yet they expect to be selling, and they do sell their products in the USA. And so we have hundreds of billions of dollars in deficits with the EU. Nobody's happy about it, and we're going to do something about it. And then he said that he would use coal to power future artificial intelligence endeavors because coal is bomb-proof. I don't have any idea what that means. He said, so I'm going to give emergency declarations so that they can start building them almost immediately, talking about energy production facilities burning coal. And I think it was largely my idea because nobody thought this was possible. Nobody talks about fucking coal anymore, you potato. But I told them that you want to do is build your electric generating plant right next to your plant as a separate building, but connected. And they said, wow, you're kidding. He said this at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. That's a direct quote. And they may have coal as a backup, good, clean coal. If there was a problem with a pipe coming in, as an example, you're going with gas, oil, and gas, and a pipe gets blown up or for some reason doesn't work. There are some companies in the U.S. that have coal sitting right by the plant. So if there's an emergency, they can go get that short-term basis and use our very clean coal. That's all one sentence. That's all one sentence. Oh, he still doesn't understand who pays tariffs. Welcome to Blathering in Davos, mostly an old campaign speech and lies and moronic claims and statements. Trump is telling the billionaires forum at Davos, Switzerland, that Biden let the American trade deficit with China get out of control. Notice below when the biggest deficit in goods trade took place and under which president it came down. He's answering questions from attendees at the World Economic Forum in Davos, said a Huffington Post writer, S.V. Date. I don't know that a single assertion he has made thus far is factually accurate. It's like that 90-minute thing that he did in the Oval Office Monday night where he was signing all of his executive orders, or as Tim Miller of the Bulwark described it, a bukkake of executive orders. and he had the press in there for the whole time, and they were asking him questions, and he was just making shit up as he went along. His responses, he was just making shit up. There were so many things that he said during that 90 minutes that were completely untethered from reality. He was just making shit up. It was amazing. So last week, Trump revoked the security detail for John Bolton because he doesn't like John Bolton. Today, he revoked the security detail for former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. I don't know exactly why he did that to Mike Pompeo. Mike Pompeo endorsed him and campaigned for him. But Mike Pompeo and John Bolton are still currently under threat from the government of Iran because they participated in the planning and execution of Iranian General Soleimani with a missile. Trump knows that they are under threat from the government of Iran. And so he withdrew their Secret Service protection and their security details. So that's pretty wild. Big oil companies spent a stunning $445 million during the last election cycle to influence Donald Trump and Congress. That's amazing. Kamala Harris's. So remember Monday, no, it wasn't Monday. It must have been last Friday when the new House and the new Senate were getting sworn in. And there was a senator from Nebraska named Deb Fischer, and her husband, Bruce Fischer, as Kamala Harris was swearing in his wife to the Senate, Bruce Fischer refused to shake Kamala Harris's hand. He's just a cranky, racist old white guy from Nebraska, you know. There was a tense moment at the ceremonial tea at the White House before the motorcade headed to the U.S. Capitol. Doug Emhoff, Kamala's husband, refused a handshake from Bruce Fischer, the husband of Senator Deb Fischer. And he looked at him and said, "Why would you try to shake my hand when you wouldn't shake my wife's hand?" So good for Doug Emhoff. Donald Trump was prepared this time, so much more so than his first term. Donald Trump was prepared this time. He has spent he and people around him, like the Heritage Foundation and other outside groups, they've spent the last 2 years preparing. And they prepared, most of the things they prepared were dumb, and a lot of them are illegal and unconstitutional, but they did prepare a lot of things. You know, and it's like that bukkake of executive orders, I think, was a lot of that was to distract for some of the other things that were going to happen this week, like shutting down the office in the Pentagon that exists solely to prevent civilian deaths in wartime, shutting down communications for our national health agencies. And then he also ordered the Justice Department to essentially shutter its civil rights division. That was yesterday or today. So they're halting all civil rights related litigation, the Department of Justice. Yeah, because goddamn, Donald Trump and the people who support him are racist, and they hate women, immigrants, the LGBTQ community, and the disabled. Donald Trump attacked MSNBC last night in a Truth Social rant. He said that they shouldn't have the right to broadcast, only in America. It's MSNBC. He calls it MSDNC. He said it's worse than CNN. So we'll see what's in store for MSNBC coming up here. I'm assuming it's not going to be nothing. Yeah, here's the next story. Justice Department halts new civil rights cases. Immediate halt to all new civil rights cases or investigations. Signaled that it might back out of Biden-era agreements with police departments that engaged in discrimination or violence. And that goes right back to Trump believes that he should be protected by the law, but not bound by the law. And he believes that everybody who's not a straight white Republican Christian should be bound by the law, but not protected by the law. This is that. Trump is giving security clearances to whoever wants them in the White House, bypassing all of the normal security checks and background checks that would go into that process. He's just handing them out like Tic Tacs. That one's dumb. Donald Trump said FEMA is getting in the way. He did an interview with Sean Hannity last night. He wants to defund FEMA, and so that he can do what? That's right. Send it back to the states. Let states take care of their own problems. This is something that he did yesterday. Trump revoked an executive order that had been signed by Lyndon Johnson 60 years ago, banning discrimination in hiring practices in the federal government in his latest action aimed at gutting diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. I mean, it was a huge part of the fucking Civil Rights Act, and that's gone. So, okay, deep breath. Everybody take a deep breath. Marjorie Taylor Greene is, quote, sick and fucking tired. She lost it on a Capitol Hill reporter, Melanie Zanona, who was asking her about Donald Trump's January 6th pardons, said Sporkfoot, is this really all you're going to talk about, the J6ers that have been pardoned? Are you going to talk about the Biden family that got pardoned? What about the rapers and murderers and killers that Joe Biden pardoned? There are tons of them. I'm not doing this. This is in this insane place up here, and all of y'all's obsession with January 6th is absurd. Everybody outside here is sick and fucking tired of it. I'm serious. It's nauseating. I've seen all the Democrat-run networks ad nauseum talk about January 6th, and they just can't get over themselves, but they don't give a shit about real Americans. I am so sick of you people and all this crap. I really am. After 4 years, I'm fed up with Washington, D.C. press. Your assumptions are ignorant, and you are absolutely disconnected and clueless about what is important in life to Americans. You have destroyed your credibility with social media like X. You can't lie about me anymore. Then she turned around, farted, and ran down the hallway. Oh, yeah? That kind of stuff makes these kinds of stories a little more palatable. Dan Crenshaw is complaining to Tim Cook and Apple that Apple Maps hasn't changed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. I don't know what the process is for changing the name of that, but I'm pretty sure it involves more than Donald Trump scribbling on a piece of paper with a Sharpie. That's just me. I don't know. I could be wrong on that. Hey, Tim Cook, just noticed that Apple Maps still calls it the Gulf of Mexico. Sent a report through the app, but thought you'd want to know. And he included a picture of himself standing next to a map going like this, looking all smug and snotty. Dan Crenshaw is a douchebag. He's tried to play both sides of the fence so many times to not offend one side or the other. He's just a dick. But I thank him for his military service, where he served honorably and, didn't need Dan Hegseth to lobby for him to get a pardon for committing war crimes, which Dan Hegseth has done in the past. All right, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my page and click like on this video and leave a comment, even if it's a nasty one. But please try to differentiate between there, and there. If you could get that right, I would really, really appreciate it. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great night, and I'll see you soon.